Hey, it's Shantae, and you're watching Pro Teaches News. Ooh, is somebody talking about pros? Not that kind of pro. See you there.
Hey guys, Robbie. I got a special guest here to say something.
Greetings, this is Wonder Woman. You are watching Pros versus Noobs.
Actually, Wendy, that's supposed to be Pro Teaches News. I know you like you like to do fighting and everything, but not everything's always.
And today, this is Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're gonna teach you how pros do things. They do it better than their brother. They're about to celebrate becoming an only child.
Yeah, I hear you say that a lot, Azula.
Yeah, noobs are just twerps and they all need to go to bed. They sure are. I can't stand a noob. You know who's a noob? Billy from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I can't stand that guy. But he is my best friend, so whatever.
Oh, way to go, Mandy. So, yeah. What they said. Welcome to Pro Teaches Noobs.
Hey, Bub. This is Wolverine. You're watching Pro Teaches Noobs. This is OG Vegeta. Let's get the views to over 9,000! This is Ryuk. Watch, like, and subscribe, or die.
All right, everyone. We're recording a promo for Pro Teaches Noobs. Oh, what's a noob?
Hey, you know who else is a noob? My mom!
All right, everyone, just forget it, okay?
I'm supposed to record some kind of audio. And you know, people are telling me I'm a noob at this. I don't get that. Like, I'm really good at stuff. I'm really smart, and I'm not just a noob. So what do I do here?
Well, you could always ask the doctor, Rigby, because I am not a noob. I am a pro.
Oh, yeah.
Hi there, this is Allison Court, and you are listening to my voice, talking to you on Pro Teaches Noobs. Who are you calling noobs? I'm not me. I mean, I'm not the noob here. That might be... Oh, you might want to talk to that dead chick or the one that hangs out with the ghosts. Hey, Beetlejuice, we have to get to the Netherworld. Wait, were you saying I'm the noobs here? Could you two please stop bickering? I'm looking for my brother. Oh, man. Is he lost again? I don't know that he wants to be found, or he certainly doesn't want to be found by you. Anyway, let's go to the mall, get some chili fries. Chill out. No, are you not aware that we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse right now? How can you two just fool around like this? Get it together. Grow up. I'm just a teenager, so I think I'm gonna go hang out with my dead friend. Okay, bye. Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with my mutant friends because you're kind of dull and total buzz killer. Okay then, I guess I'm on my own. Jubilee, wait!
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Now let me get the screen back up. Thank you, everyone, for coming on for my 550th lesson of Pro Teaches Noobs. And you guys remember, unmute. And if you're muted, unmute. Woo. Yeah, so today we've got something a little dramatic, a little bit on the darker side to be going over. As we're going to be going over let me just load it up. There it is. We're going to be covering. Oh, come on. Don't you hate when this happens? Mouse. We are going to be covering Mouse. Oh, and Jay Heat just joined up.
That's terrible.
Hey, Jay Heat, welcome aboard.
Heat man.
Flame on. How's everybody doing tonight?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, yeah, today, like I said, we're going to be covering, let me get this. There we go. We're going to, like I said, covering Mouse. And who here knows about this book?
I do.
All I know is that it was banned. That's all I know.
I know it more by reputation. Have never read it, so I'll just be the noob here.
Yeah.
Point.
I know I do.
That cover is wild, bro.
Yep, yes it
That's
is.
Start right there.
Yeah.
There we go. That's better. And Jay, what about you?
I've heard the story, but I only read it once. And it... Wait, what?
What was that?
Nothing. Sorry. That's my friend playing Battlefront 2.
Oh, man, where'd it go? Where did it disappear to? Where did it disappear to? Hold on. It just disappeared on me. Hold on.
Oh,
Hey.
we could still...
It was there for a moment, but then it was gone. So there we go. But yeah, done by Art Spiegelman. Took two separate parts, but yeah, about his father's history, or my father bleeds history as it goes by. And here my troubles begin. 2 separate parts released years between each other. And yeah, this is a very interesting book. And just to show off how much I've been reading this, I've read this book when I was first in middle school. And hold on, let me, where am I? I'm trying to find where I'm at.
Have you read middle school?
Right? That's...
Yeah. I have not read the story by n00bs, and it's a very sad story.
It is. Hold on. Let me try to show it up. Here I've got my own copy of the complete version. I have MetaMouse, which is just as long as the book itself, but it's a big interview with Art Spiegelman. Wow. And Mouse Now, which is a bunch of selective writings of people's opinions on it. So you can tell I know my stuff about when it comes to this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a very interesting book, but very complicated book, as we'll see. We start off with a little story with Art himself as a boy. Him, roller skating with a bunch of friends, and this was back when roller skates were not the greatest, as you can see. But there we go. And it's like, wait up. But his friends just left him behind. So he goes to his father and says, and Artie, and come to hold this a minute while I saw. Why do you cry, Artie? Hold better on the wood. I fell and my friends skated away without me. He stopped sawing. Friends? Your friends. If you locked them together in a room with no food for a week, then you could see what it is, friends. Mm-hmm. You get what he's trying to tell them, right? Then if they're really your friends, try put them in a life or death situation.
Yeah, that's what your true friends are.
I have an extreme example, but I see.
True.
But then is where we then get introduced a bit to, because a part of the book endings of this is him trying to gather the information from his father. And just to make this clear, his father's not a great man. Not a monster, but he's human. That's one thing I like. He's a very complicated being. Meets up with them. And right now, this is his second wife, Artie's stepmom, Mala. And look at this. Mala, a wire hanger you give him? I haven't seen Artie in almost 2 years. We have plenty of wooden hangers. They didn't get along.
Yeah.
And then he decides to tell him a bit about his life before the war. And I love this thing. And in MetaMouse, he talks about how as early as regards when his father would be on this, his workout bike. And look, the wheel here is meant to represent as you see the handles, it's meant to represent the wheel. Mm-hmm. As if this was a movie, this would have been how we would transition. But
That's pretty crazy. That's a lot
intriguing.
Framing it.
So we find out about him. He says how he used to be quite a looker, and we'll see later on he actually does. He would actually compare to Rudolph Valentino, the Sheik, an old-time movie actor. And again, just establishing him, we see him meet up with a woman named Louisa. And I love it. But Pop, Mom's name was Anna and Zillenberg. All this was before I met Anja. Just listen, yes? And we see that he met up and the two were pretty close. And I said, and he says, yes, we were more involved. So like the youth here today. In other words, he regrets how far they went along at that young age. But then eventually he met up with a cousin of his and introduced him to Anja. And I really like this a little bit. The two of them are talking in English, assuming he doesn't know English. But then Gordy says, you know, you should be careful speaking English. A stranger could understand. And yeah, the two basically got to know each other. But now one of the disadvantages of the mice drawing is you cannot tell regular attractive beauty or anything. So there's a point then where he's told this. And yeah, there's Lucia. She feels like, what a beauty you picked. Just calling it off. And she's clingy, very clingy, as you can see here. Like, we're engaged and all that. You're like, forget her. Let me make you happy. And I love this. Mom wasn't that attractive. Not so like Lucia. But if you talk to her a little, you started loving her more and more. But here's something that does get a little implied. Never flat out, but implied. Vladik might be marrying her for her family's money.
That sounds
Because
about
the
right.
family, that's what's implied. He does still care for her, obviously, but there's going to be some moments like here, this bit. He comes to visit, and then what does he decide to do? While everyone's distracted, sneak around to see what kind of housekeeper she is, finds pills, and then he wrote them down. If she was sick, then what did I need it for? It's like, and they find out because she was skinny and nervous. But the fact that he did that behind everyone's back tells you the kind of man he is. Shows he's resourceful, but not that trustworthy.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that would just snoop through my stuff. Most of my friends would. I wouldn't, but they definitely would.
And not sure if this would be counted as the trust but verify kind of situation.
True, but let me put it this way. Just to get out of the way, Art has made this clear. He's doing this from Vlad's point of view because it's the only point of view he had. If his mother was still alive, she committed suicide before he ever started working on this. And if he had access to his mother's journals, which his father ended up burning, he would have used those over his father. That's the kind of relationship they have.
So it's like based in reality.
Well, again, his father's a hard man to deal with, and we'll see it as it goes forward.
So it's like based on his actual family, then?
Yes. This is everything from his father's point of view.
Wow.
All
right.
I know about this.
Yep. That's what he says. My father bleeds history. But yeah, he meets up with Lucia. This was before he moved, but after the engagement with Anja. And she's, of course, they're like, please, Vadik, let me come. But then eventually she sent a letter to Anja saying all this horrible stuff about him. And I love how he's so worried. I was like, I love this. Well, I can't convince her on the phone. I'll come down by train on Friday after work. And it's like, he's smart enough to know that. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to convince her on the phone.
Right. Show up in person.
Yep. But yeah, so it says you have a very bad reputation, that you have a lot of girlfriends, and that you're marrying me for my money. Anja, you should know me better. Ask anyone about my character. She's an old girlfriend who won't leave me alone. She means nothing to me. I do like the detail you see. That's obviously Anja's mother watching, and when she hears that, she's happy. I also love it here. We see this moment, and this is after the engagement. Then he's like, "Oh wait, I forgot something," and then we're back to where we left off. I love details like that. It's like, whoops.
Same. I love that too.
Yep. And now again, this is done in the chapters. Again, each chapter is different visits. Now, obviously, he's condensing some visits together to make that clear.
Yeah.
We also find out that, here's another tale we find out. Again, this is before the war. The first half of the book is everything leading up to Vladik and Anja being taken to the camps. So the camps don't come till the second book. But in fact, you know the reason why he rushed it and did it into two parts? American Tail.
Oh, really?
He thought
capitalize off of that.
Yeah, he thought it was going to deal something similar to his story. He was wrong, but he didn't. How could he have known that? Yeah. So he rushed it out to try and beat it.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yep, but yeah, we get a tale here about how one of Anja's friend was a possible communist, and she would translate things into German and pass it on. And even a friend, she gave her some papers, and the friend actually went to jail for 3 months, taking the fault for Anja.
Oh.
Yep, and yeah, it also made clear just how rich Anja's father's was. And he was actually able to give Vladik an entire textile factory. That's how rich he was. Like for him, like, oh no, forget a shop. You can have a whole factory. It's nothing. That's how rich Anja's family was.
That's crazy.
Wow, that is crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, it is. But it also makes it very clear then how things are going to go downhill fast. Yep, and then we see this is Richu. This was Art's older brother who, let me just put it this way, Art never met Richu for good reason, and unfortunately that shadow will always hang over him.
Oh.
Question, how come? Why didn't
It comes up later.
Spoiler.
It does.
Right.
It does. But I love it when he says Art was very premature. He even said they had to break your arm to get you out. And then when he was little, his arm would jump up. We joked and called you Hail Hitler. Always we put your arm down and whoops. Now look what you made me do. Okay, I'll recount them. No, you don't know counting pills. I'll do it and do it after. I'm an expert for this. See what I mean right there? Like, look what you made me do. What I did. Whatever. Yep. Oh, and now obviously back in the days, postpartum depression was not a common thing or known back then. So here they actually she was so depressed after giving birth, and it even said it was such a strain that she had this breakdown. So she would go to a special place, a special clinic or sanitarium, and then Vladik would have to go with her. Well, during their travels, they actually saw the swastika for the first time, and this is 1938.
Oh,
okay.
This is the rise of the Nazis, but before the war.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was, since most of the information was cut out, they didn't have a frame of reference to also know that the Indian version.
Well, actually, they said here, this is their first time seeing it. They already were hearing the stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were
It makes sense. It makes sense, though.
Oh, this is based off of a famous image, of a guy in a similar pose like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're just, even by now, some places were already having, forced to sell their business to a German, all the horrible stuff. It was already being built up, even though this town is Jew-free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it was the thing before it was a globally known thing.
Oh, yeah. This is before the war started. So, no one really knew except those who lived in there. But by this point, they're living in an area that hasn't been affected yet. And, of course, it's the old, so long as it's not me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The tiger won't eat my face.
Yeah, at a certain point.
Yep. And again, we just get these nice little moments here. Now, here's a moment here that does show how good things are between Anja and Vladik. Is him telling us this big story about how he and his father had gone out and they, his grandfather had gone off on horseback and they dropped the pillow. So, the pillow that would have, that you put underneath for the horse. But the grandfather decided, no, I'm going to go get it. So the horse was bony, didn't have a saddle. So when he came back, his father came back with the pillow under his bloody tuchus. So father got his pillow back, but he couldn't sit down for the rest of the war.
That's funny.
Yep. But when they get back, they find out that the factory had been robbed. They took everything. But again, they were able to build things back up. But that was the first case of the anti-Semitism affecting Vladik.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't think it was it, and this was it. Just a robbery. Yeah, but at this point you saw it, it was just a robbery, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything, then you have to realize it's a bigger organization than just like a small robbery.
Yeah. Yep, and then we see now, just to make clear that Poles are represented as pigs. Yep, but and we
For
do
a
have
second,
this.
I thought you said Paul.
No, Paul.
Polish.
Why did you say that name?
All right, moving on.
Yeah. But and we see that they're the nanny is even saying like, how could you say such a thing? I think of you as part of my family. Yeah, wait until we can come back to her later on. Yeah, but yeah, again, just things are building up, and eventually he gets drafted. And remember, they're living in Poland during this part, so he's been drafted into the army. I don't know why, but now here's another case of Vladik being resourceful. And here's the thing: Vladik gets by his resourcefulness and a lot of luck. And if I like this, like grab your knickknacks and doll collection. They're not important. You'll see. You may enjoy them. I was right. When things went worse later, she was able to sell such things. See what I mean? Right there, he knew. You know, like if things got bad and I'm not going to be there because I'll be stuck in the war, stuck fighting. Here, and take those, sell them.
Good plan.
What?
That's a good plan.
Yeah, it is definitely. But yeah. Then we go. So then turns out then there was a point where Vladik actually had become a prisoner of war for a short time. And we find out that why was he able to be drafted and everything? Well, obviously everyone was, but it turns out Vladik's dad would try and get his sons to not join the army. How? 3 months before the examination, he would then make sure he would wake his sons up for a starving campaign. So he would force them to eat nothing but red herring, salted herrings, and no water to lose weight. And then a few days before the exam, no sleep and no food, just coffee. And that's what say. There seems to be something wrong with him. Build yourself up for a year, young man, and we'll review your case again. Of course, next year, kid, he's like, I ain't doing that again. No, siree. And he went to war.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why the dad thought this was for the best, but at the same time, it's like, really?
Yeah, he went too far.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
better
either
chance.
that or knowing that you have to kill people, and I think I'd take the starving and the coffee over.
Yeah, well, knowing that you're going to be
Actual
going
war.
to actual war.
Yeah.
You know, like
Exactly. And this is the case where, again, being a draft dodger, as we all know, is a bad thing.
of course.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, I know, but yeah. So we see eventually he did shoot one guy, first person he's ever had to kill. Don't worry, that's not going to be a regular thing during this. And I do like this. Like, give me your gun. It's hot. You were shooting at us. My commander made me shoot. I only fired in the air. I answered in German, and his partner stopped him from beating me. So in other words, this is the point where the Germans actually have more decent people among the ranks in the normal troops.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. It's not until you start going into to the camps and everything that you're going to deal with the monsters.
Well, once you get up to the leadership, they're the ones that are pushing this campaign. Like the foot soldiers aren't necessarily agreeing with everything, but they're being paid or they're just doing what they're told. But a lot of people don't realize that you're paid. Like, it is a job to be in the military. Even if you get drafted, even if you're drafted, you still are getting a paycheck from these people. So
you just can't say no.
You have people that aren't in the know that are kind of just foot soldiers doing what they're told, and then you have the leaderships that are doing the telling.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, as we learn in history, soldiers, even the good soldiers, don't get the
right.
Yeah, there's always going to be a time where one side or the other side has to do something they don't like or don't agree with, and the people with common sense or decency are going to try to at least have the least amount of loss possible.
Now here's the point where I can see where this German's coming from. Like, put down all your valuables. He came to me. I had he had a lot of money. Why so much money, Jew? Do you expect to do some business here? Show me your hands. You never worked a day in your life. Yeah, I can see why he would have judged Vladik more harshly. Like, oh, you think you're too good for us.
Just spoiled rich boy. You're going to do some dirty work.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And yeah, we just find out that they were prisoner of wars. Now, again, another bit of his resourcefulness. It gets really cold. But what does Vladik choose to do? To bathe regularly. Because why? It actually will make you feel a little warmer afterwards.
Yeah, regulate your temperature.
True.
And it says many others got frostbite wounds. In the wounds was pus, and in the pus was lice. But for him, because he did it and he kept himself strong, he was able to survive. Writing to his family, but he also made sure he would write specifically to get around stuff. Eventually, they saw this moment saying, workers needed. War prisoners may volunteer for labor assignments to replace German workers called to the front. Again, this is at the point where they were being reasonable to such people. But as it goes on, of course, they would become less and less. But here, they decided to take it. And look, they got a stove, real beds with sheets and pillows. They actually felt like we're prisoners of war, but we're treating way better than we were back over here in the tents.
But that's kind of like lull you into that false sense of security type thing. I feel like.
Oh, and look at this. They would have to move a mountain and then dig up the dirt to fill the valley.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Down for tanks.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep. And then one night he got a message from his dead grandfather saying, you will come out of this place free on the day of Parsha Truma. And he's like, so what's Parsha Truma? Each week on Saturday, we read a section from the Torah. This is called a Parsha. And 1 week each year, it is Parsha Truma. So they heard about that dream and that message. And eventually that day came. And he was allowed to go. You mean your dream came true? Yes, this was a very important date. I checked in the calendar. That was the week he married Anja. That was the week that Art was born. And it was also the week of his bar mitzvah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just coincidence, obviously.
Of course.
But of course, though, but here's the one problem, though. Yes, they were released, but turns out a few days, a bunch that were released were shot, killed by the Germans. And it says, I thought you were released. International laws protected us a little as Polish war prisoners, but a Jew of the Reich, anyone could kill in the streets. So in other words, they were better off as prisoners of war.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yep. Oh yeah, point where you had to go to the bathroom, but almost got shot for it.
Jesus, that's messed up.
Like the fact that it was legal to just kill on the street any Jew just because they were a Jew. It's like horrendous.
Yeah,
it is.
It's super messed up. Even at the end of history, it's messed up.
I love this. When he's posing as a Pole, they have him wear a pig mask.
That's funny.
I like that.
I like that too.
I love it. Like, you're a Pole like me. I can trust you. The stinking Nazis had me in a war prison. I just escaped. The Poles were very bitter on the Germans, so it was good to speak bad of them. So the guy actually helped him get away, thinking he was just a regular Pole.
Yay!
That's awesome.
That's good news.
They met up. He meets up first with his own father and mother, and his father had it was a rabbi because he had a big beard. He was forced to shave it.
Oh.
Yeah. And then before letting us go, they cut off our beards, which again for them that's usually an important thing.
It is.
It is.
That's usually like with the Amish, that's a sign of marriage, basically. Like you're clean shaven if you're a single man, and if you have a beard, you're married, and the longer your beard, the longer you've been married.
And this is also we can find out that things are starting to build up. For example, there was a 7 o'clock curfew for the Jews. They had to be home and lights out.
Yeah.
But I do love it when it's like, go in and say, you just got a letter from me saying I'd be home in a week. Don't joke. If Vladik was coming home, he'd have written to us too. Oh, surprise! Okay, that is. Also, he's like, wow, why do you cry, my boy? I'm your father. The buttons, your metal buttons, Daddy, they're cold. Yep. And of course, then there's a point where he's. Oh, I got a super chat.
Yeah,
that one is. That one. Wait. Yep. Raymond, working late tonight, but I still want to drop by and congratulate you on another milestone. Thanks, Ray. And yeah, Tris earlier, LFG, let's fucking go.
Yep.
Go.
Yay.
Yep. I know. But here's now where we find out something else. Art's like, hey, where's my coat? I know I put it in here. Mala, did you put my coat somewhere? No, are you going now? Crossword puzzle. But then we find out his father threw it out.
Oh no.
When you were sitting first down at the dinner, I threw it outside. By now, the garbage man took it away. Such an old shabby coat. It's a shame I thought my son would wear such a coat. But I liked it. I have for you a warmer one. I got an Alexander's a new jacket. I could give you my old one. It's a windbreaker.
Oh no.
Oh.
It's like you really threw it out.
You're wild.
Yeah.
This is where you find, and again, he's over 30 years old by this point.
Yeah.
And yet his father
that's
does this.
Yeah.
That's
She
a
would have-
nice guy.
Yeah.
And again, it looks like $1 million on you. A windbreaker? Really?
No.
I mean, I get it. His father looks at things as what's practical and all that, but he's completely missing the point.
Right.
Yeah.
It is cold.
Oh.
This isn't
Oh.
cold.
That. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, meets up with him like, you're late. No, I'm not. I said I'd be by after dinner. New trench coat, wooden hanger, basically, all this stuff. Yeah. But now it's dark. I wanted you to climb into the roof. It's leaking the drain pipe. But I'm no good at fixing that kind of stuff. I'm not good at fixing that kind of stuff. Why don't you hire someone? Yeah, you don't like it's the stereotypical cheapskate Jew.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but it's like
fix this on.
Yeah, it's like unfortunately that's like he matches that stereotype, and Art is not making this stuff up.
Yeah, this is all real. This all happened.
Yep. Oh yeah, this is what we started to see. Just to remind us how big this family was. You have him, Anju, and Richu. You have Anju's own older sister, Tasha, her husband, Wolf, and their little girl, Bibi and Bibi. Anju's grandparents, they were 90 years, but very alert. Of course, his in-laws. And also 2 kids from his uncle, Herman, and Aunt Helen, Lolek and Lania. Herman and Helen were lucky. They were visiting the New York World Fair when the war came. This saved them.
Oh.
So yeah, they were visiting, and then of course they decided we're staying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was smart.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, this is where we find out just how bad things are going. But this is also where they're starting to figure out how to do stuff on the black market to try and get real food and everything.
Try to
Yep.
find a way out.
Exactly. But they still think they think we can wait this out. They're at this point where they still think we can wait this out. We can wait it out. There's no way they're going to get worse.
A lot of people did. Sorry to interrupt. A lot of people did think they could wait it out, and they did not have any inkling of what was coming.
Yeah. Again, a case of his resourcefulness when he says but I can't pay you. A German runs my place. I'm just lucky to just have a job. Did advance me a few yards of materials without coupons because they were using coupons by this point. And then look, he said, hide it under your clothes. Ha!
That's funny.
Yep, a nice. He made up quite a bit of money from that. But you see, at least there's one smart guy in the family. Of course, I only said I got half what I really made. Otherwise, they wouldn't save anything. Of course, at some points where they, again, just showing just how much the tension is just rapidly building.
Yeah.
And there's a point where they want to take the bedding and everything because look how nice that is.
Yeah.
And please don't take her bed. Look how sick she is. The doctor's here every day. Of course, you have excellent taste in furniture, Herr Zillenberg. Thank you. My men will be back to get your wife's bed too. You cheated us last time, Jew. Wait, I haven't been paid yet. Please, if you want to stay alive, go back inside.
Oh. Unfortunately, this is where people
Yeah. Even Mike, look at this beatings and everything. Why? Because they could.
Of course.
Thankfully, someone saw Vladik and got him out of there fast.
Oh, thank God.
Now, there's a point where someone is given an opportunity to take Richu away to somewhere safe. And let me put it this way, Anja should have gone with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should have.
We're burning up to it. We already, it's been made clear, Richu died during the wars. Or during, the Holocaust and all that. But again, if they had sent him now, he would have lived. They end up doing something later they thought was better, but it ended up being the worst thing they could have done.
Yeah, the worst case scenario, unfortunately.
Yep. Now get to a point where all Jews of Sasanewa must be relocated into the Stara Sanawik quarter by January 1st, 1942. No, non-Jews will be moved into vacated premises. Geez, no wonder some people went along with it because they thought they could be like, hey, I can upgrade to their nicer houses.
Which in reality, no, that was not the case.
Oh, this moment.
Oh my God.
They left some of these Jews hung for, I think they taken 4 Jews away for dealing goods without coupons. And then it's like, I did much business with Cone. And they left him hanging for a full week as an example. And that image haunted them.
Yeah.
That would haunt anyone.
That would haunt anyone.
Yeah. But we did, again, they're trying to just showing their resourcefulness, stuff like saying he acted like he bought the sugar. And he's like, what are you carrying? Sugar. I'm taking it over to my grocery store. Oh, you have a shop? So he's taking it back to where he got it from to say, I got our sugar. I love it. Like,
that's funny.
Yep. Now, eventually, there's a point where they want to still keep the grandparents, together because they don't want to send them away. So they would keep them hidden away in these old homes and all that. But the thing is telling them, like, nice place for the old people. And, the adventure is starting to force them to do it. But, of course, they thought it was to the Theron rest they were going. But they went right away to Austerwitz instead.
Oh.
No.
So there went the grandparents, the first casualties.
That's
the oldest. Then we meet up with Vladik's father, the one who was making him eat all the salted herrings and all that. And we find out that his mother's not his Vladik's wife and mother is gone. So it's just his father and his sister and all of her kids. Now, his father said there's a cousin working there who can help him sneak on by. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he was able to go through, but Fila had 4 kids, and that was considered too many.
What?
4 kids was considered too many.
Oh,
and thus, even though Vladik's dad was sent to the good side, he's like, my daughter, how could she manage alone with 4 kids? So he snuck over to the bad side, and he never saw his father or his sister again.
Oh, no. Aww.
See, and again, 1 of 3 they kept at the stadium. Maybe 10,000 people, and with them, my father were taken. They just gathered up all the Jews and decided which one of you is going to contribute and which one of you is going to be a hindrance.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's messed up.
It's basically which one of you are going to work and which ones are going to perish.
And again, like the fact that 4 kids is considered too many.
Yeah. More messed up.
Yeah. And what is the fact that Vladik's dad decided to sneak over?
I'm trying to save him.
Well, not to save him. He wanted to help him take care of the kids.
Oh.
He wasn't going to try and bust them out. He felt like, how's she going to handle it? I'm going over there to help her.
Oh.
And Jared to take it off. Yeah, see you, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
See you, Jared.
Yep. Now, this is where we have some interaction.
Thanks for stopping by.
This is where, so what have you guys been thinking about this so far?
This is a very sad story and very depressing, but it makes sense because, well, it's always his father's history of the war, and
Yeah.
this is a very dark
And the
story.
characterization is interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
Jay, what about you? What do you think?
I would agree. I had read this story back in middle school, but I only read it like one
Mhm.
time. So reading it again with an older perspective, yeah, I could see a lot of stuff not directly stated in the dialogue, but it's heavily implied.
Yeah, at least from what I'm reading, there's a lot more directness in here. I'm breezing past, but
Well, I
yeah.
could just be like a lot of the stuff reading it as a kid, you're not really picking up as much. And then, like, growing up, you hear a lot more about what happened. You learn a lot more about what happened. Like, that really wasn't known at the time by anybody.
That's
you
why I
know?
can't stand deniers. That's why I can never stand deniers.
Well,
Same.
it's just
Wait, who's denying this?
There's tons of Holocaust deniers.
There are actual people out there that say the Holocaust never happened.
Or they keep saying stuff like, "There's no way that many people." Yeah, they keep on claiming like, "There's no way that many people were killed off in that short a time." It's like, you want to bet?
Literally killing tens of thousands of people per day or per week.
We just saw a bunch here. 10,000 were taken away.
Right.
10,000 were killed.
Well,
as an
yeah,
autobiographical story, this is also kind of told.
Yeah.
As just going on and without just like doing like fictionalized story structure, it doesn't follow that kind of structure.
But we also find out, and this is part of the reason why Vladek married Mala. She was a survivor too. She dealt with it also. It was that companionship that made it seem like they would have worked together.
It was a trauma bond, Ron.
Yeah.
The relationship stemmed from a trauma
Exactly.
bond.
But she can't stand him by this point. Like, he's more attached to these things than the people. I love it when he's about to leave. Wait, put everything back exactly like it was. I'll never hear the end of it. Okay, relax. But that tells you how stressed out she is dealing with Vladek.
I don't blame her on that one because, in a way, she's kind of right.
Well, you trust me,
But he's
Vladek
doing
is
everything-
insufferable.
It seems like he's doing everything he can to make sure that they get through.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing, though. He's claiming, he will eventually, you will find out, Vladek would claim, "Oh, I'm just continuing what I learned during the surviving," even though, as we're seeing, he was this way before that all happened.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't a good person.
No. Again, he's not a bad person, but he's not a good person. He's human.
He's flawed, complicated.
Exactly.
Yep. Oh, geez. Have we seen one night Art gets a phone call as Mala is just like, just yelling. Mala's calling him saying how his father's trying to go on the roof and everything. And it's just like, I know, like, please don't shout. Why don't you call a handyman? Jeez, Mala, it's 7:30 and Francesca and I were up till 4. You know we don't get up till... Hello, Artie, it's Papa here. I'm telling you, Mala makes me mashuga. I want that maybe you could come now to Queens to help me. What? You gotta be kidding me! When I was young, I could do by myself these things. But now, darling, I needed your help for the drain pipe. Look, I'll call you back after I've had some coffee. Maybe I was dreaming. Was that your father again? Yeah, he wants me to go help him fix the roof or something. Shit. Even as a kid, I hated helping around the house.
Yeah.
And then he gets to go like, never mind. So, never mind, Artie. I talked just now to Frank lived next door. Now he's saying, I've got it. It's like, that's great. Of course, and better would be fixed today, but at least somebody will help me. Ow. See what I mean? The type of father he is.
Yeah. Not really a good father.
Oh, but then he meets up with him a week later, and he's better. Not about the roof, though. Turns out he found an old comic strip that he made back in the day about his mother's suicide.
That's terrible.
And believe it or not, this is going to be some of the pages. Or this here's one of the pages that got this banned was the nudity.
Oh.
Really?
But
Very obscure case of nudity.
Yep, but this is something he had done just as a something to get his anger out, his aggression out about his mother's suicide.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
I
blame
was
him.
gonna-
I
I
would
was
do the
gonna
exact same thing. I was in position.
Yeah, like
What?
this is kind of a unique perspective
form
too,
of-
because it's
right.
like
Yeah.
this is what he actually lived through, like, and his family lived through. It's not
Yeah.
like yeah, it's kind of like a secondhand perspective, but at the same time, it's firsthand knowledge. You know, like
Exactly.
it's actually a really interesting perspective to write a story like this.
It's
Exactly.
interesting, also sad, depressing, but I get why you did it. It makes sense.
But yeah, the way this happened though was one of Mala's friends, her son's in college, reads comics, sent it to her, and then she gave him a copy. And then that's how Vladik then found it, and it really upset him. That's why he's annoyed here. But then when he meets up with him later, he's then like, I found it when I was looking for the things you asked me for. Basically, I did mention this, he had heard about the journal, so he had been looking for the journals for a while. And then I say, you asked me. I saw the picture there of Mom, so I read it and I cried. It's good you got outside of your system, but for me, it brought in my mind so much memories of Anja. And I'm like, of course, I'm thinking always about her. Yes, you keep photos of her all around your desk like a shrine. What am I going? What have I to do, Mala? In the garbage? Put them. Of you, also, I have a photo on the desk. Don't do me any favors.
Oh.
But at the same time, like, you see whatever I have with her, always whatever I do is no good. It's like, Vladik, you're the problem here.
You're not helping, Vladik. You're not helping at all. You're making it worse.
Yep, but yeah, this is now where they're, as things are now, they're kept separated from the rest of the Germans, or the rest of the rest of the area. The Jews are just kept secluded from everywhere. And this is where then we're told, oh, we have someone who's actually going to be part of a council. They can help protect Richu. Like I said, this is going to be the biggest mistake they could have made. But of course, why did they do this? Because by this point, well, now this is enough stories they heard. Kids who wouldn't stop screaming. So what would they do? Whoosh!
Jesus.
Swing them at the wall to shut them up.
Holy shit, that's messed up.
That's how monstrous these guys were.
Yeah.
They literally looked at
people. They were
like they literally looked at them like they weren't people.
Yep, Ingrid was a good point. I think it's important to read stories of real people experience of events like these because they're especially vulnerable to distortion. And it's also easy to dismiss people's suffering if they don't fit our mental image of what victims should and look like. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reality is unrealistic.
Yeah,
Yep.
like banning this for a tiny bit of nudity when the story itself is actually like
There's some more nudity
real
later on, but
first-hand
even
or third-hand like account
Yeah.
of events
Yeah.
is kind of crazy.
And there's more nudity later on.
True, but
Yep,
Joe,
sorry, go ahead.
I will lament purely from an age standpoint. Like a story this dark and gravitas should not be like elementary.
Middle school is pushing it. Middle school is pushing it.
Totally looking for ways to ban it.
Right. This
Yeah.
definitely should have been like a
Yeah.
mature book, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they wanted it
But
from
I
high
would-
schools too.
Why? Why
Wait,
ban for
what?
high school? That's dumb.
Because of the nudity.
Okay, I could see middle school and elementary school especially, but by high school you should be at an emotional age maturity to where you could at least see the gravitas and significance of a story like this by high
Right.
school.
And it probably would impact a lot, actually, reading
Yeah, it
this
would.
in high school. This would
Oh, yeah.
impact you quite a bit.
Well, and it did it for me. But
Not
here's
to
the
mention if it,
I mean, I read it in middle school.
Yeah, but
not to mention if it's a ban for nudity's sake, what does that say about the people who want to ban it for that reason?
And then there's a little more nudity later on, but even that's still minor.
But it's still like Pika's saying, all the other events that's happening
Yeah.
in the book, and you want to ban it for like the
Nudity.
dumbest
That's an
reason
excuse.
possible.
That's an excuse.
Right. And like that's an example of distorting the history of it. You know, it's like you're trying to get this taken away because of something that doesn't have any real significance to the story. But there's events in the story that actually should probably be banned for younger audiences.
Yep,
but
yeah.
not. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But not only that, it also feels like these people don't understand history. Like, this book because, well, it's a newbie, right? No, this book is important. We need this book. This is beautiful history. This is actually that happened. That is important. But
all right, Ingrid has put his best. Are they going to ban art museums because the sculpture and painting are sometimes nude too? Exactly.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah,
maybe it's like movies that were set around this time, like The Pianist or
Yeah.
Fiddler on the Roof, or
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
movies like that and how they are rated.
Yeah.
And even those things talk about like the more sunny side of things that they never really delve deeper into like
Not
the
like this.
background
No,
story
no,
of what's happening behind the scenes and in the streets.
Yeah, like this, like in this moment right here with this poor kid.
Yeah, like this is
somewhere 2 or 3 years old.
Right. This is everyday life. You know, this isn't like what you're gonna see in a news article or a magazine clip at the time. Like this is what the people were living through.
Exactly.
They were not living happy lives.
But as I was saying, here's what happened. So now the people that left were Wolf, Tasha, and Bibi, Lolik's little sister Lonia, and Richu. But turns out a few months after they were sent away, the Jumans decided to finish out the council, replace the council and everything. So what did Tasha decided? She always carried with her a vial of poison.
No way.
So she gave it to the kids and then herself so they wouldn't have to suffer the gas chambers.
Terrible, dude.
Very terrible.
Like the stuff that people resorted to avoid the torture, like that blows my mind. Like you really have to put yourself in that position of like, I'm gonna do this to myself to save myself from what they're gonna do to me.
That's how horrible they were.
Right, like even if you have a chance to survive what they're gonna do to you, like you're gonna be so screwed up for the rest of your life that it's better to just do it now. You know.
Yep. But yeah, and then but yeah, Harley. But then we find out some of the stuff like the bunkers. Like, look at this bunker: a false wall, coal bottom, removable wooden panels, so they can hide in there. We see a couple of these. They actually made some of these bunkers. I gotta say, the ingenuity is incredible.
Yeah.
Agreed. The engineer does look great, actually, especially with the falls out of walls and the coal. That's nice.
Yeah. They found really good spots to build into their houses and stuff that made it so hard for them to be found, or even like the party, whatever you want to call them. I don't want to say it, but to have the Germans come into your house and try to look, like they were very ingenious when it came to hiding spots.
Yep. And then you had another bunker they had with the chandelier.
Oh, wow.
But they eventually, when they were late, a stranger had stumbled there, said, "Let me go." Gave him some scraps. He then brought the Gestapo.
Oh no!
And unfortunately, then they tried to say like, "You got to help us get out. We'll help you, but we can't help your in-laws. They're too old." And yeah, for all of his money, he was a millionaire, and even then, it didn't save his life. And it says, Anja and I saw her father at the window. He was tearing his hair and crying. He was a millionaire, but even this didn't save his life. And think back, rich enough to buy a textile factory like it was nothing.
Yeah, $1 million back then is like 33 million now or something like that.
Yep, to this.
Yeah,
that's all for nothing. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, no matter how rich you were, it didn't matter to the Germans. It's like,
no, because they were just going to take it anyway.
Yeah,
once you were gone, they were just going to take it. So.
Yep. Yeah. Now here's the case again of Vladek. Like even when he's walking, he'll find some stuff like telephone wire because it's like, hey, there's a good stuff in telephone wire. So he'll just take it from the trash.
Yeah, no, good copper, couple pounds.
Yep. Oh, and then he learned how to fix shoes here. And I love this. Hey, this is the rat that turned my family over to the Gestapo. He was shot. But if he's dead, why are his eyes still wide open? He was struggling to survive. It happened. I was on Workdale, so he buried him. He buried the scumbag who ratted them out.
Oh.
That's good.
Set him right.
Yep. But there was a point where he almost got gunned. But then, of course, we also find out earlier that the cousin that's part of the Gestapo, he would actually sometimes throw games just so that people would like him.
Great plan.
Yeah.
Look.
Yep. So of course, like, you're a member of the illustrious Spiegelman family. Go on your way then, and give Haskell my regards. Such friends Haskell had. Oh, and I love this. They're saying, "Hey, it's cake." That's impossible. He's joking. I love it. They find some flour here, a few grams of sugar there. I saved it. But turns out there was some of that flour wasn't flour. It was laundry soap. So some of them were like, "Oh,
that's funny."
That's funny. That is funny.
It'd be funny. But then
It's only a little bit enough. It's not lethal.
Here
but
you go. Take this diarrhea. Eat this cake.
I
right up,
accidentally
boys.
drink some dishwashing stuff when it was in the juice can. And
Yep. Oh, look at this. Look at this. A tunnel of shoes.
Oh, that's cool.
Up and but then the nephew decided he was 15. He was working as an electrician. He decided he could go. Now he eventually did go to Auschwitz, but he is one of the few that survived.
Oh, thank God.
That's what he said. He was the next transport to Auschwitz, but we later find out he was one of the people who would help Art with the book, and he would not have kind words about Vladek, of course.
Yeah.
But by this point, Anja heard about Richu, so she is just a mess again. I don't like, no, darling, to die is easy, but you have to struggle for life. Until the last moment, we must struggle together. I need you, and you'll see that together we'll survive. This always I told to her. So yeah, they hit there. I love this, like, you found food? No, it's only wood, but chewing it feels a little like eating food. That's how hungry they were.
Yeah.
Oh, one of them came by saying, like, I've contacted one of the guards. It'll cost a fortune, but he's willing to look the other way. Some of them leave. He hesitates. Yeah, he ran back and realized, yeah, they got scammed.
Of course they did.
Yep. Again, we see that. Oh, by the way, dogs are Americans.
That makes sense.
Okay.
This is then where we see a moment of them. Black. That's what they got. Blackguard, obviously.
Aw, look at the puppy.
I beg your pardon.
A black guard.
You know the dog. It's black.
I get it.
I know. Art would later admit he kind of wrote himself in their corner with the theme.
Yeah, I don't blame on that one.
Yep, but yeah, we get all of this history, but then he starts saying how Mala claims, I want the money, when it's like, I think there's more to it than you're thinking about, Vladek.
Yeah, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yep, it's like he just doesn't like being cheap, and like he's always been pragmatic, cheap. It causes him physical pain to part with even a nickel. I used to think the war made him that way. I went through the camps. All our friends went through the camps. Nobody's like him.
Oh.
In some ways, he's just like the racist caricature of the miserly old Jew. Ha! You could say that again. Mala was another person who helped Art with the book after Vladek's death.
Yeah.
Vladek never saw the book, unfortunately.
That's sad.
He never got this. He saw some of the early work on it, but he never.
Early manuscripts, but he never saw the finished release.
Wouldn't he be proud of his son?
I say that's the unfortunate thing. We'll get to it as it goes by, especially the ending. But I love this bit though. Hold on, I've already started to sketch out some parts. I'll show you. See, here are the black market Jews they hanged in Sassanowicz. Ack! And here's you saying ack when I make them, when I think of them. It still makes me cry. Yes, still it makes me cry. I love this. Yes, I don't ever even read ever such comics. Even I'm interested. Of course you are interested. It's your story. Yes, I know already. I know already my story by heart. And even I'm interested. It should be very successful. Yeah, someday you'll be famous like, what's his name? Huh? What? And famous like, what's his name? You know, the big shot cartoonist. What cartoonist could you know? Walt Disney. Yeah, Walt Disney. wait, where do you go, Artie? And you get a pencil. I gotta write this conversation down before I forget it. That is, see, nice little moments here. So I do think he would have been proud, but I do think there would have been of ego too, though.
Yeah, I can see that being the case.
It would be, look at my
to an extent,
son, the big comic book writer.
Well, that it's his story.
All right.
But that's why I'll get to a point where there's a point.
Ironic talking about Walt Disney being a very anti-Semitic person.
Oh, remember I mentioned about their nanny? They beat up with her. My God, it's the Spiegelmans. You'll bring trouble. Go away quickly.
Oh
no.
Yeah, unfortunately, that happened.
I love this. I was a little safe. I had a coat and boot. So like a Gestapo war when he was not in service. But Anja, her appearance, you could see more easy she was Jewish. And what did he do to portray that? A tail.
Of course.
Yep, but he reached up with someone else.
It's the first time we actually the mice have been shown with tails.
Well, it was the only way to make it clear. Like, how else could you portray saying she was very Jewish?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, so they meet up with an old friend of hers, and he brings them in. There's the Jews in the courtyard. Police! They ran and hid. I don't think anyone heard her. She's a little senile anyway, but you must look for a better place to stay. Someone here is bound to recognize you. So, I love this. For a moment, you think, Amcha, I thought you were Jew. I love it for all you saying, then you see it's a mask. So yeah, they've been hiding here for a while. He tells them where there's a black market for women. What'd you do? Want to buy some food without coupons, mister? Brings it. Where'd you I had to get some breakfast. Want some sausage or eggs? Or would you prefer chocolate? It's a miracle. How'd you manage it? I'm a magician. Have some milk. So yeah, again, they're more and more in disguise now as other Poles and everything. And this is where then we see more. He's interacting with the black market lady, and she even says, "Hey, you can stay with us," said everything. And sure enough, they do. And Anja would help teach German to the woman's son, and eventually she would improve. Although I'll pay you the rest tomorrow after I go out and cash some valuables. Sorry, I wasn't able to find bread today. Always she got bread, so I didn't believe. But still, she was a good woman, showing that her generosity went so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame her. It's just like, I'm risking my neck out for you. If you can't, I'm not going to give you any slack.
Because I get where she's coming from. It makes sense. Because,
like a moment like that, it's again shows that she's human again. She's not perfect.
Of course, she might also be desperate too. In those moments, she might be desperate for that bread too.
Yeah, but then she's forced to kick him out because for a moment the Gestapo thought that they were, in bad trouble, so they had to leave. I love this though, but I had something allergic in the closet, or maybe I was a cold. I can't remember. With a pillow.
That's funny.
But unfortunately, she has to kick him out. Don't worry, this is not the last we'll see of her. But yeah, they have to hide some places. They meet up with someone else, and I love it. For a moment, like, I guess you could stay, but remember, I don't know you're here. Why, Mrs. Spiegelman, you're shivering. So help them out. Heard that one of her, someone she knows could help them smuggle away. Then meets up with the woman with Mrs. Modanawa, and basically saying like, it was just a freak out. Turns out nothing's wrong. Come on back. They never even came right back. I panicked for nothing. Oh, and here's a little bit. Anja sees a rat. I don't know. You get it? Like, they they're just mice, which makes it look a little. Even Art's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep. But yeah, they're just again showing things are fine. Of course, a bit with the kids. A Jew. The mother's always told, be careful. A Jew will catch you in a bag and eat you. So they taught their children. But of course, don't be a friend, little one. I'm not a Jew. I won't hurt you. Sorry, mister. You know how kids are. Hail Hitler.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, they're ready for a big thing, and now of course Anja's saying, "No, we should stay. We're fine. We're fine here." But they feel it's a good place, to hide. They also go to meet up with some of their friends, saying, "Come along with us." They're hiding somewhere. Unfortunately, the place they're hiding, these other guys know where they're at. Now I like this. It's a place where they what do? They put trash that covers the smell. They have to tolerate it, but it's a better place to hide.
For
sure.
Yeah. So they decide, here, you guys stay with Morinawa, while Anja and we try to get smuggled out.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they get captured.
Oh no.
Oh.
And this is where part 1 ends. Unfortunately, we also find out, turns out, Vladik did remember. Now, here's what he claims, like, the notebooks, like, you're not going to find them. Turns out I did find them before, and I destroyed them. You what? And here's what Art's theory is. He thinks his father burned them, so he wouldn't, because he knew Art would have didn't want to hear the rest of his side.
Of course.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
doing it.
he would have seen firsthand what his mother was going through and wouldn't have believed what his father's side
Or
was.
he would have tainted his side.
Right. He would have treated him differently. He probably would
Well, he
have
already
treated
did.
him.
But he also knew he wouldn't come back to me anymore to hear the rest.
Right.
Yeah, which honestly, from a son's perspective, I get it. I understand where he's coming from. But saying, no, wait, dude.
Yep.
That's his
Look,
mother.
there's little Richu. That's what he looked like.
Oh.
Freaking tell me that's not me
That's
with
a cute-
whatever that freaking shirt is.
I
the leader wasn't.
actually have a picture that looks exactly like that of you. Yes.
I
don't
literally
have
look
to do
exactly
that at all.
like that as a kid. That's like
Yeah,
my
but
third
look at
grade
that. I see
picture
about
right
that.
there.
This is not long before he got the poison.
God, that's depressing and sad.
It's terrible, dude.
That is horrible.
It is. Now here then we
Okay. Before we move on, did the mother commit
Yes.
suicide, unalive herself?
Yes,
Or okay,
she did, and that happened years before, and that's why I said I don't know if you were here for me saying it. No, you were here for me saying it earlier. Art has made it clear if he could have talked to his mother or could have used the journals, instead he would have used that instead of Vladik.
Yeah, I don't blame him on that one. I would use my journal, but they were destroyed.
So the mother ended her own life, and then the father remarried, right?
Yep.
Mala.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
like they grew up with a stepmother. So like every time you see Vladik,
No,
with
Art was
Mala-
already in college by that point.
I got.
By the time the mother's suicide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he still
But
had to
that is
see
when
his
they
mother's
remembered.
pain and everything. She never handled what the war did to her that well. She tried, and then having to deal with Vladik too.
PTSD is a motherfucker. Like there's no other way to put it. And
Yeah, but look
even
what
if
Mala's
you-
had to put up with. Look what Mala's had to put up with. Imagine what Anja had to put up with.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
probably 10 times worse.
Possibly, but look at this. Look at these drawings. This is Auschwitz. Well, 1 and 2.
Jeez.
Wait, there were the two?
There were nearby.
Yes.
Yes.
There was where they held the chambers and where they held the people, and then
Yep, and
basically
the
the
SS.
slave houses.
Of course, the SS, the jerks.
Now here's
And
what we
that's just Auschwitz. That's just one
That's
place.
just one
Yeah.
city.
So many.
But that's where Vladik was sent.
Yeah.
He actually was sent to the big one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is insane.
And
But I love-
actually survived. That's even
Yep.
more crazy.
I love this though. This is Francine. That's Art's wife, and I love it. She's French, and I love it. It's like, what are you doing? Trying to figure out how to draw you. Want me to pose? I mean, in my book, what kind of animal should I make you? A mouse, of course. But you're French. Well, how about the bunny rabbit? Nah, too sweet and gentle. I mean, the French in general. Let's not forget the centuries of anti-Semitism. I mean, how about the Dreyfus affair? The Nazi collaborators, okay, but if you're a mouse, I ought to be a mouse too. I converted, didn't I? I got it. Out of 1. My father's on his exercise call. I tell him, I just married a frog. Battle 2. He falls off a cycle and shot. Then you and I go to a mouse rabbi, says a few magic words, and zap. By the end of the page, the frog has turned into a beautiful mouse. I only converted to make Vladik happy. Yeah, but nothing can make him happy.
That's funny.
That's a cute interaction, though.
That's adorable.
You should have married what's her name, the girl you were seeing when we first met, Sandra. Yeah, then you could just draw mice, no problem. Come on, I just dated her to get over my prejudice against middle-class New York Jewish women. They reminded me too much of my relatives to be erotic, so I just Francis. Yep. Your father fought us. He had a heart attack. No, he actually didn't. It was just so cute to get him on the phone.
Of course.
But here's why. Mala took a bunch of the money and left.
Dang.
Wow. Not all the money. She didn't take all the money, though.
How much money
did she sucks. Vladik sucks, huh?
Vladik's a jerk.
Yeah, but I know, but it's like Mala left him. She took money out of her account and drove off. He wanted to stay with him in his bungalow for a while. I guess we have to go. I guess so. Now, of course, by this point, he's writing this after the first part had been released. All right, but this is his thoughts still. Basically, some of this is a little fictionalized, a little bit. Some of this.
That makes sense.
Like it's stuff that happened after the book, but he's writing it as if it was before it. Some of it's like his stuff, feeling how presumptuous it is. I can't even make sense out of my relationship with my father. How am I supposed to make sense of Auschwitz, of the Holocaust?
Right.
But here's that we find out, I wonder if Richu and I would get along if he was still alive. Your brother, my ghost brother, since he got killed before I was born. He was only 5 or 6. After the war, my parents traced down the Vegas rumors and went to orphanages all over Europe. They couldn't believe he was dead. I didn't think about him much when I grew up. He was mainly a large, blurry photograph hanging in my parents' bedroom. That's the photo we saw. I saw the picture of you. Though it didn't look like you. That's the point. They didn't need photos of me in their room. I was alive. The photo never threw tantrum or got in any trouble. It was an ideal kid, and I was a pain in the ass. I couldn't compete. They didn't talk about Richu, but they had the photo, but that photo was kind of a reproach. He'd have become a doctor or married a wealthy Jewish girl. The creep. But at least could have made him go. We could have made him go deal with Vladik. It's spooky having a sibling rivalry with a snapshot. But see, that's what I meant by earlier. Richu was this pinnacle that always hang over Art's head.
Yeah.
Now, I don't blame his parents to a point. But even for Anja to do that as well, it's disgusting.
It's messed up.
Well, you also got to factor the trauma bond, the ordeals that of themselves.
No, I get that too. I agree with that. I'm just saying to a point, but I think there's a point where it goes a little too far.
Yeah, I agree. This is too far.
What would you say? What do you say about that? Would you agree with that, Jay?
I would agree to an extent because does stem from a trauma bond and how generational trauma can impact families and even those caught after the fact.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But I'm not going to outright say Vladik was a saint by any stretch of the imagination. Even before the war, he was kind of a
yeah. But there's a little more. I never felt guilty about Richu, and I did have nightmares about SS men coming into my class and dragging us Jewish kids away. But don't get me wrong, I wasn't obsessed with this stuff. It's just sometimes I fantasize Zyklone and B coming out of our shower instead of water. I know this is insane, but I somehow wish I had been in Auschwitz with my parents so I could really know what they lived through. I guess it's some kind of guilt about having an easier life than they did. I feel so inadequate trying to reconstruct a reality that was worse than my darkest dreams. And I'm trying to do this as a comic strip. Guess I bit off a bit more than I could chew. Maybe I ought to forget the whole thing. Obviously, we know he went through it and everything.
No, but I kind of understand that. Like, that whole thing with the competing with the picture, like, the fantasy is never going to live up to the reality, even if the reality was better or worse than the fantasy.
Yeah.
You know, like, I grew up staring at, like, a single photo of my mom from the time I was, like, 5 till I was 9, not really having any memories, but only knowing that photo. And, like, you fantasize about, like, what this person had become in those years or what this person was like without knowing for sure. Like, you build it up a certain way in your head. And then trying to put that up to a page is kind of is kind of tough to do.
Exactly.
He is actually. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just continuing. But yeah, more bad mouthing of Mala. Now again, was what Mala did right? No. But Vladik clearly pushed her, and that's why again I like about it. It's like who's in the wrong? Both are in the wrong.
For sure.
Because what Mala did, that was horrible. I'm sorry. I don't care what Vladik did to you. Going that far, like taking that much, like now it's not made clear how much she took, but I guess that she took half.
Probably.
Wow.
Probably.
At least.
Yeah. Like,
at least.
You think about what some of these people had to do to survive until tomorrow, but like when you're doing things like that, you're just kind of screwing over the next person instead of trying to survive with them or get through with them. You're just doing it in spite of them.
Right. And I also love this. He's writing a match. It's like, but this she can't do. She needs my cigarette. Artie, what do you do? Huh? Just light my cigarette. Before you shouldn't smoke. For you, it's terrible. For me, with my shortage of breath, it's also no good to be near. But if anyway you're smoking, please don't use from me my wooden matches. I don't have left so many. And already to make coffee, you used one. Only to light the oven, I use them. These wooden matches I've had to buy. Paper matches I could have free from the lobby of the Pines Hotel. Geez, I'll buy you a whole box of matches. It isn't necessary. At home, our oven is automatic, and here I am. I'm staying only 15 more days because of his heart issue. Turns out he did have not a heart attack, but he did collapse from the stress of what happened with Mala.
Yeah. I don't play on that one.
Yeah, so they meet up with some of the neighbors and everything, and they try to kind of badmouth Art, make Art feel guilty.
Of course.
Because they don't know Vladik that well.
No, they don't.
Yeah. And this again where we get more and more about Vladik here. Like I said, not an utter monster, but he's not a monster in the slightest, but not a good dad either. This is almost like emotional abuse, but not intentional emotional abuse.
But unintentional, basically.
Yeah.
He was like a very solitude, almost like a scavenger type guy. You know, like a MacGyver type guy, make the best out of every little thing. Like everything has
to a detriment,
except for the people around him. It's like all the things have value, but the people didn't have the same value to him.
Exactly. Okay, now here's where we find out when they first got there. So they got there, get undressed, leave your valuables, line up, schnell. And this is where we get some more of the nudity. See, that's it. Yeah. You can barely make it out.
I can't really tell.
Something that you go by it, and if you stop at this one panel and look at it with a magnifying glass, then then it's probably big.
That was their excuse.
You're not supposed to stop at one panel. You're just supposed to move on. With
Right.
Yeah.
But even then, rate it M and move on. You know, or like rate it teen. Don't ban it outright. You know.
They would then give you random shirts, random pants, random shoes. They didn't care. It's like, excuse me, these shoes are too small. Maybe now they'll fit.
Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. And so, Uncle, you've ended up here too. You told us to come. You wrote this is what tricked them to come. Like you wrote it about how happy you were and hungry that we should join you. Hungry? Ha! The Poles who arranged our escape understood Yiddish, so they knew you were waiting to hear if I was safe. In Plesko, the Poles dictated that letter while the Gestapo had a pistol on my head. What could I do? They'd have shot me then and there.
No.
Jesus.
So that's why they got tricked into it. And they'll tell you, Anja's instincts were right.
Anja was right from the
start. She wasn't right about keeping Richu the first time, but she was right here.
Agreed.
Crazy.
Now you could argue her instincts were clouded because she was just so like, I gotta protect my baby. She didn't see how bad it could get. And then when she saw how bad it was,
Yeah. She should have got out of town ASAP.
Yep, but I love this. It's like He then actually look at his numbers and everything, and actually was a way to add it all up, and it basically helped him get through, saying, "You'll come through this alive," and it helped him believe. Now, this was a friend of Vladek, Mandelbaum. He was also a very rich guy, but look at this now. His pants were big, like for two people. Even had not even a piece of string to make a belt. He had all day to hold them with one hand. One shoe, his foot was too big to go in. This also he had to haul, so he could find maybe with whom he could exchange. One shoe was big like a boat, but this at the very least he could wear. It was winter, but yeah, look how horrible this guy was.
Yeah, that's terrible, dude.
Yeah, that's horrible.
That's terrible.
Yep. I don't know, like, I hold onto my ball and my shoe falls down. I pick up the shoe and my pants fall down. What can I do? I only have two hands. My God, please, God, help me find a piece of string and a shoe that fits. Now, here's something then. This is where a lot of Vladek's ingenuity comes into it. Who knows English and Polish? Eventually, he's able to help teach this guy. And this guy is one of the upper management. He's still a prisoner, but he's still like above them, like a manager. And like, listen, there's two main prisoners here. The SS will line you up tomorrow. Be sure to stand on the far left. He brings them here to have a lot to eat. Why? I speak German as well as Polish. That's why I'm a capo. Otherwise, I'd be a nothing like you. Now, the Allies are bombing the right. If they win this war, it will be worth something to know English. And look at it. Why does he do that? He allows them to be actually able to get the right outfits. And I'm like, yes, sir. But I have one more favor to ask. Can I also take an extra pair of shoes, a belt, and a spoon for? What? You Jew? You've only been here a few days and you're ready to do business? I have to count for every pair of shoes in here. I don't want to make trouble. You've been so kind to me. It was for my friend. And he's like, I could lose the belt and spoon, but bring me your friend's old shoes tomorrow, or else. And then what he gives like, Vladek, you look like a general. Not quite, but I've been lucky, and I didn't forget you. Look, I got you a spoon. A spoon. Thank you, Vladek, thank you. And here's a belt. Not just string, a real belt. Oh, my God. And one more thing, a pair of wooden shoes that will fit you. My God, it's a miracle, Vladek. God sent shoes through you. Unfortunately, though, he couldn't protect Mandelbaum. And one day, he never knew what happened, but what he thinks happened was a guard would grab his cap, have him run off, shoot him, and then he would get vacation for stopping an escape.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
That's the crap that they pulled.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard other things like that where they tried to make it fun, dude. Like, it's insane to me that these people even thought any of this was okay to go along with,
or a game.
But to like figure out a way to game or personal gain it is even crazier to me. Like, that's how they were thinking at the time. At that point, you're not just like a follower, you're actively engaging in something that is absolutely demonist activity.
And again, he got a few days vacation for stopping an escape.
Exactly. So he knew that he would get some kind of prize, some kind of reward for doing this. That's what I mean, where like they were gaming the system. It's crazy.
It's cruelty for the system.
Yeah, exactly.
So we find out the capo cannot keep him around much longer. He's kept him there as long as he can, so we have to try and get him a better work job. Then we see back in the present, Vladek would sometimes sneak into one of these hotels. Why? Sometimes get free dancing lessons or bingo games.
Oh, some fun, some relief.
Ah!
Jeez.
What the hell is that?
Now this, that's the chambers.
Oh.
But now this is a moment that happened, but it is when he reached writer's block. The show, Vladek died of a congestive heart failure on August 18th, 1982. Francesca and I stayed with him in the Catskills back in August 1979. So 3 years after what we saw before. Vladek started working as a tin man in Auschwitz in the spring of 1944. I started working on this page at the very end of February 1987. In May 1987, Francesca and I are expecting a baby. Between 100,000 Hungarian Jews were gassed in Auschwitz. In September 1986, after 8 years of work, the first part of Mouse was published. It was a critical and commercial success. At least 15 foreign editions are coming out. I've got 4 series offers to turn my book into a TV special or a movie. I don't wanna. In May 1968, my mother killed herself. She left no note. Lately, I've been feeling depressed. And this is what he feels like he's building on the bodies of the dead.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
Oh my god, that's messed up.
I understand why he wouldn't want any TV or movie deals.
Yeah.
Right, building your own person.
No one would want. No one would want.
No,
Yeah.
want that.
Right.
Not even me.
But not just that, though, he just feels like it's disgusting to adapt it.
Right, but it's like you're monetizing these other people's suffering for your own
Not to
gain.
mention how much of those adaptations would cut out and.
Yep. Oh, and look at this.
The reality of it.
Yep. Now look at this. So he starts to get just bombarded with all these different questions, and everything, and he gets reduced to a kid. Then he goes up and meet with again, he says all this is going through his mind. He's meeting up with his psychiatrist. No, psychiatrist. And who is also a survivor. And he also helped with the book.
Aw, that's sweet.
I love this. Framed photo of a pet cat. Really?
That's funny.
And he has a dog too. Yep. But he said his place is overrun with stray dogs and cats. Can I mention this? Or does it completely louse up my metaphor? But yeah, basically this is where he tries to ask him both for his own psychological issues, but also ask him about being in being in the camps. So he tried to explain the best way he could say this, what Auschwitz felt like. How can I explain? Boom! It felt like that, but always. Yeah. I love that. He's like, how can I explain? Like, hey!
You're right. Gonna be on your toes all day, every day. Head on a swivel.
Yep. So yeah. So, but of course, then we have this one bit of his father's going on a tangent, and he has to yell like, "Enough! Tell me about Auschwitz." You were telling me about. So it's like, yeah, this father just kept going on and on about how to save money, be a cheapskate.
Of course.
I didn't want to tell him about the hard stuff.
Yep. But yeah, this is where we get some more of him working as a tinsman. He's actually able to also trade food and everything. And yeah, now I also love this how they say on time a day they gave soup from turnip. The stand near the first of the line, it was no good. You got only water. Near the end was better. Solid thing to the bottom floated. But too far to the end, it was also no good. Because many times it could be no soup anymore. I like that. Yeah, you don't want it to that broth. That's not going to get you anywhere. But you want to wait too long either.
No. Yeah. You got to try and be in the middle of the line just to get a decent meal.
Yep. One point though, they had to deal with an old guy saying, "I'm a German like you. I have a medal from the Kaiser. My son is a German soldier." Was he really a German? Who knows? It was German prisoners also. But for the Germans, this guy was Jewish. And then he got stomped on the neck.
Oh my god, that's messed up.
Yep. And yeah, and now we find out a little bit about Anja's survival. Mostly because while working in the tin stuff, he was actually there and saw her.
Aww. Really? That's some good news at least.
Yep. In fact, was able to sneak letters and everything. She was told to carry the soup. Sometimes she would spill, and of course, if she spilled, no one would eat.
Of course.
Oh, we saw one bit of them actually meet like, Guten Morgen. The spring air reminds me of home, of Nuremberg. Yes, that was what it was. I was there once. It's a beautiful city. And if he liked me, maybe someday he won't shoot me. One day he was missing a few days. Look pale. Were you sick, Herr Soldat? I did. No, I was working in Kenya. Yeah. Yes, I heard about what goes on there. Shut up! And he was afraid anymore to speak. Oh, even when you met someone that was nice, something would screw it up.
Yeah, unfortunately, these guys don't care. You don't care. Do you see it? All they care about is, well, work when you die.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they also couldn't let too much info slip.
Exactly. But yeah, so obviously he would try and give word to Anja and everything. 1.0, he got captured and got beaten for it.
Jesus.
Yep. Another point, then they were to check to see who was able to survive, and he barely did.
Yeah. I don't blame
Now,
him.
unfortunately, though, this is where he's going to find out that he's going to be getting some real bad diseases.
Oh, no.
Now, he eventually realized that he's a good fixer. So he was told, like, you're better than our last shoemaker, because he learned a little bit about it. And look, we even learned a little bit of how to fix a good boot.
Oh, that's cool.
And again, that helped him.
Cobbling, yeah.
Now, I love this also. He's like, this is a new boot. I don't want you to repair the show. It's a bad rip. I'll do my best. If it doesn't look like brand new by tomorrow, you won't be here anymore. So he actually takes it to a guy, hits it under, and says, takes it to a real shoemaker. Can you fix this? I'll give you a day's ration of bread. For a day's ration of bread, I can fix anything. I watched carefully how he did, so next time I can save myself such bread. Comes back and brings him a whole sausage. You did a good job. You know what this was? A whole sausage. You can't imagine. I cut with a shoe knife and ate so fast I was a little sick after. I'm sure after all the little they've ate, that must have been too rich for his stomach by this point.
For sure.
Yep. But so they're working a bit more. Turns out Manis, that's this one woman who's been kind to Anja, has been helping her out. Turns out she was married to someone a bit higher up. And according to the point of Anja trying to help herself, the one Pole woman is, kicking her and says, you should send them to my husband. He's a shoemaker in Auschwitz. And when she does, eventually, she actually let her up a little bit. That suitcase too heavy for you. You can rest in my room until the appel. And they also sell stuff like 1 day's bread gave you 3 cigarettes, 200 cigarettes for 1 bottle of vodka.
Jeez. Wow.
At one point, he actually saved a lot, but then someone took it.
Of course.
Oh.
Yep. At one point, tried to toss some stuff to her. And of course, now she doesn't know it's Anja, but she's just like, whoever it is, I'll kill you right here. Who is it? Who did it? And none of the women turned Anja in. That tells you how good of a person Anja was to these people.
That's crazy, man.
That's sweet.
Yep. Eventually, sometimes he would hide in the bathrooms. No one came and found him because, when they would try and check for the house.
Yeah.
We get a little bit here about so he's in the quarantine for this point, the tin shop, the shoemaker, etc.
The black wall, I think is what it says.
Yep. We get a little bit more details, and then he actually worked on cleaning the gas chambers. And look at this. Look at how the gas chambers look. They made it look like you were going someplace good.
Yeah, but that's all BS. We know that's not true.
Then you go in there for you think it'll be a shower instead.
Yeah, the outsides were nice, and then you step in, and it's the last thing you do.
It's literally hell.
Yep, and then into the getting burned up. Yep.
Yeah, I think that was one of the worst parts to see and hear about later on in life is that they gas them and burn them after.
Burn them alive.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy because if you did survive the gassing, you were burned alive and buried with everyone else in a mass grave, and it's just brutality, dude.
It's messed up.
Yep. Oh, look at this. Again, with Vladik. Again, it's like he's assuming they were going to stay there until the end of summer. He's like, we told you it was just a few days until we knew you were fine. Then better if you didn't come. Now I got used a little to having you together by me. Wow!
What?
Guilting him much?
Yeah.
Oh, it's special K cereal.
That's
I keep forgetting how old that is.
Yeah.
How
that boy's been around for a long time.
Special K's been around a long time, but Tevye, this is still around the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Wow.
Yep. But yeah, we get a little bit more of them trying. Now, by this point, the war is starting to get closer.
Mm-hmm.
And thus, they're starting to be closed up. Now, first they think like they're going to set fire to the camp and bomb all the blocks. Get out! Turns out they didn't, but they didn't know.
Yeah,
so they brought around. I love that. They think they shot a dog, but it could have been a person. They don't know. Some people tried to run, got shot. He was like that. I'll give you money if you don't shoot us. Of course they're going to shoot.
Of course.
Of course.
Now, it turned out they were moved to a different camp. Look at this. Here's something smart for Vladik. He actually took a few extra clothes he was able to get put him up so he could be up near the water and up near the top, the breeze, and he would eat snow. Some people would fall down and would stab other people so they wouldn't get stomped on, but they die anyway.
Oh, that's
Someone had some
crazy.
sugar, but it burned when they ate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't actually sugar.
No,
Yeah. No. Yeah, give me some sugar and I'll do it. So I ate some sugar and I saved their lives. So something was wrong with that sugar.
Yeah.
Poison.
Maybe. Then they would take them out, get rid of some of the bodies, and keep trapping them, pushing them through. Of course, and this is a case where I found this out. The Red Cross would make sure people would get food, even if they would make sure to give it even to the prisoners.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, the Red Cross was that. Like a lot of people would have died if it wasn't for the Red Cross.
Oh.
That's actually interesting.
Yeah, that I never knew. Oh, he decided to go in and get some food, and is actually able to. You see, I exchanged and got $6 worth of new grocery for $1. We were sure you get kicked out of the store. What are you talking? The manager is a very fine gentleman. He helped me as soon as I explained to him my health, how Mao left me, and how I was in the camps. You know what my guess is? The manager's like, fine, just get out of here.
Oh.
More like you need this more than we do.
Well, no, I think it was more of a case like, shut up, I don't want to hear your sob story, just get out.
Yeah, I can see that being the case.
Oh, but here's what we find out. He's got typhus from all the lice.
Oh my god.
Now, here's something else, another bit of cleverness. He was able to trade someone's, first of all, he ended up cutting his hand so he can then stay in the quarantine because that's the better place to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
He meets up with a Frenchman who was actually able to, because he's not a Jew, he could get himself from the Red Cross.
That's good.
And then another bit, what did he do? He traded a couple of rashers of bread for a fresh, clean shirt. A shirt that he could trade in and show up because they would only give you soup if there was no lice. So he would hide his old shirt in his pants and give him the clean shirt.
Nice.
And he did the same thing for the Frenchmen.
Yay.
So they were always guaranteed food.
Yeah.
But some people would die in the bathroom because of all the typhus.
Of course.
By this point, here's the point, a hitchhiker, and oi, it's a color guy, a sharpster. Push the gags at it, showing that how bigoted Vladik is.
Yes,
it's a hot day for walking. Oh my God, what's happening to his wife? She's lost her head. I can't believe it. There's a sharpster sitting in here. Yo, take care now and be good. What happened to you? I had the whole time to watch out that make sure you didn't steal from us. What? That's outrageous. How can you of all people be such a racist? You talk about blacks the way the Nazis talked about the Jews. I thought really you're smarter, but it's not even to compare the sharpsters to the Jews.
What a
See what I mean about Vladik?
Yeah, this is making me
Roll the boomerang.
Yeah, right though.
Again,
Literally,
not a monster, but not a good man.
A very flawed man.
Yep. But then there's the point where he's saved. But this point, his health is catching up to him, but he's still talking a bit about it. I love this. They were given a bunch of the Red Cross stuff. Someone tried to steal it. Hey! He made sure no one would. And yeah, they soon heard the war is over. Yay! March back to the tracks. Schnell! The Americans will be in the next town. They can have you. Unfortunately, they're going to shoot him. They were going to gun him down. I don't know. One guy actually tried to get away, and he made it.
Yay!
Oh, nice.
Yep. Some of them tried to sneak away, and they're like, the war is over, she cried. Let us run away. This woman saved us. But then they met up with more guards. Whoops.
Oh, no.
Oh, I love this. They tried to hide, but she's like, but wait, 2 Jews are back there hiding in a pit. They were in a hurry. They ran. So they got out of there because they knew they couldn't trust her.
Of course.
Of course.
Yep. At one point, they actually went in there, drank milk, ate chicken, got food. And again, the stomach was in such a shock that they, oh, look at this. Americans showed up.
America, fuck yeah, coming to
I love
save.
it. I love it. How they're there to
Yeah.
help him. I love how they help him, and they call him Willie and everything for whatever reason.
Steamboat Willie.
Yep. But when they're told to take, to give the outfit back, you'll have to give them back the letter and take. I told we have still full, a bunch more clothes they got from the other Americans. Now this is where we get some photos, all the different people. We find out that Herman, remember, he was one of the ones that survived by the World's Fair. He got killed in a hit and run, and now she was one of the closest relative she still had left. And when he died, that's when things went downhill for Anja. Yep, we see Lolek and Lonia. They stayed with us. Lolek, he survived, and he's actually a college professor. Lonia, of course, was one of those who got poisoned. Oh, I love this. This brother of Anja, Joseph. He says you resemble. Look. Resemble. That's a joke.
That's funny.
Yep. We find out that one German tried to protect Joseph. Unfortunately, so he had less money, and she left him, and he killed himself. We just see all these different people that have died. So many.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
It's horrible.
And we also see that this was one of Vladik's last surviving his other brothers, and he died of a bad appendix.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
We have so many. Now this is the last chapter.
Oh.
Yeah, Mala has shown back up. Something she just felt so guilty, met up with him, but he's doing horrible. His health is deteriorating fast.
Oh, no.
And Mala, I swore I'd never see him again, but I'm just a sucker. He talked until he was blue in the face, and here I am. Anja must have been a saint. No wonder she killed herself. He's calling you.
Jesus.
Yep. But yeah, this is them making this way back. We're seeing all these other people. I think this is this is Sweden, the reindeer.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, this is Sweden. This is supposed to represent Sweden.
Big reindeer.
Yeah, like Bon Voyage.
Yep, they're making their way. Things are getting worse, but of course the doctor's saying, "Oh, you can take him home. There's no need for him to be hospitalized." But if he's a borderline case, why not keep him for observation? Even back then, the American health system wasn't that great.
Of course, it's still broken, so this sounds even worse.
Yep, we see that Vladik, his health was not doing great even then because of the typhus. We also had diabetes.
Oh.
He jumped. Oh, the bricks are fish.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're fish and chips.
Yeah.
I get the
I love this. I love this. They meet up with one person who married a German woman, and look at the kids.
Aww,
They're hybrids.
Right,
Nice.
they're fish mice.
Yeah, fish mice. That's so adorable.
Oh no, they're you're right. They're cat mice.
Oh,
Cat mice.
Oh, here's one. One of the sons survived. What do you want? This is my family's house. I'm Jober. We saw Hitler finish you off. Go away, Jew. This is our bakery now. He didn't know what to do. He spent the night in the shed behind his house. The Poles went in and beat him and hanged him. For this, he survived.
What?
Jesus, that's messed up.
And then his brother came from the camps a day later and only stayed long enough to bury him.
That's
Jesus.
crazy.
Oh, a gypsy is, of course, a gypsy moth.
Of course, that makes sense.
Yeah, so apparently this is something that Anja told Vladik about how this once they brought up Richu and said, you'll have a faraway place. You'll have a new life and another little boy. Oh,
Yeah.
now see, he ended up getting a photo of himself from a place that took souvenir photos. And look at it, there's Vladik. Look at that. He's handsome.
He's a
He's
handsome
great.
guy.
Yeah.
And there's him, again, the stuff that the Germans just ignored.
Of course they do.
That is crazy, though.
He does look like an actor, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks fantastic.
Yeah, and again, this is him after escaping the camps.
That's crazy.
For the way he
Yes.
survived, I'm shocked that he looked that great.
Yeah. Now, of course, this is a little bit after he's probably gotten better food in his belly and everything, but still.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He passed a photo place that had a camp uniform, a new clean one to make souvenir photos.
Aww.
Wow.
But yeah, so he put it in there. Now, him and his friend Shivik, they were on following trains. They had a bunch of stuff, but at one point the train left early. Shivik went back to Hanover to find me again, but I went straight to Poland. Meets up with Anja, and that's where the story ends.
1978.
But here's this. I'm tired from talking Richu, and it's enough stories for now. See, this is the issue. He still looks at art as Richu.
Yeah. He's probably very confused at the end also.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think this is the best place for them to end it.
Yeah,
I
probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And yeah, it took him 13 years to work on this.
Wow.
Oh, I can only imagine how hard it is, like going through these memories, like especially if you're getting them secondhand from Vladik himself. You know.
Oh, what did you guys think? Do you see why this is considered one of the best?
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, let's go one at a time. So, Jay Heat, you go first. What's your thoughts on this?
Like I said, this is.
Go ahead.
Okay, like I said, this is a very profound and impactful story. Definitely not for little kids or even middle schools kind of pushing it. But I don't see any reason, at least for high school and up, where the story should be banned. I don't because this is a very profound story, a cultural story on generational trauma, how it can be impacted. And all in all, it even has some strong themes carried today.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is why whenever I hear people just willy-nilly calling people Nazis, I'm like, not even close! Are there some? Yes. But
wait, are people still
not
doing
as
that?
much as they were, but they still do. And I'm sorry. Look at this. Look how monstrous things were.
Well, you have people that want to bring it back, which is fucking insane to me. Sorry for swearing, but it's absolutely insane that anybody could see that and want it to continue or want it to be brought back in that same scale or worse.
Yeah.
But it's also like there are other people that just throw it around as a term, you know.
They don't know the meaning.
Exactly. They don't know how bad it really was.
Yep. But so, Jay, what did you think about Art, Vladik, all the characters? What did you think of them?
Definitely good representation. Some I don't know whether some of the actual names were used.
Oh, they were. They were all
pseudonyms.
actual names.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, the characterization I never had a problem with, because at the end of the day, this is a cultural story, an impactful story, and even what we see nowadays, and like you said, how people keep saying Nazi on social media. I know we're already going to risk getting demonetized for this topic alone, so we've already passed the threshold. But yeah, I just feel like you have no idea what that term really means. You don't understand the real significance of that term.
Not at all.
Right.
I'm just like, and half the time you're just doing it because either you heard it in passing, or it's the most derogative term you can think of for someone who disagrees with you online.
Exactly. But yeah, and like I said, Art himself as a character, he ain't perfect here either. So I think sometimes he pushed back at Vladik a little too hard, but not in a way, but in a way that's still understandable. Just like Mala, completely understandable. And like I said, you see what Vladik went through, but it doesn't justify how he is in the present either.
No, but like also, you know, kids are gonna push boundaries with the adults and with their parents. Even as an adult, you want more answers than you were given as a child. You know,
Yeah.
So I could see that.
But just
that push and pull from them.
So yeah, Stephen Knox, your overall thoughts on the book?
I thought it was actually like very interesting. The storytelling alone is like super intriguing to actually tell your family's history this way. And like I relate to a lot of different parts of this story. And I just think like it's one of the worst things that we could possibly do to each other in history, and there were so many good things that spawned from the aftermath of it.
Oh yeah.
But like to try to distort the reality of it or change the history of it, to try to ban this from anybody's view, it's crazy. Yeah, I think children shouldn't have been exposed to it, but like I don't think this should have been a banned book. The story was really good. The writing was really good. The artwork was really good. Like this, for me, this is like a 9 out of 10 story, no matter what the subject matter is and how hard that is to go through. Like it's still an impactful story, and you know, it's something that people can really relate to. You know,
and can you see though, this is a story that tells you the existence of luck.
Oh, for sure.
We agree to that. Can we all of you guys agree with that? This story, if anyone would say there's no such thing as luck, point them at this story and say, tell me Vladik did not survive by luck.
Right.
Oh, definitely. By sheer
it's
luck.
like,
by the grace of God.
Yeah, like that 1 in a million chance where he wasn't one of the ones to be taken, or he wasn't one of the ones to be gamed, or he wasn't, you know, like there were so
Point
many
happened to have the
different-
right skill at the right time.
Right. There were so many different points of exposure that he could have just been deleted, you know?
Yeah.
And he was able to find a way to get through it.
Exactly.
Like, that resourcefulness, it leads into like all aspects of life. And like this is a story of luck, coincidence, and skill all at the same time.
Exactly.
What do you think about it?
I think it's the story that needs to be told. You know, I think it's definitely, and I think it's done very artfully. And yeah, it is definitely a must read. I'm only silent and quiet with it because it's so good. It's a topic. Well, it's a topic that needs to be just. So you know, the way I handle it is with silence because I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Putting myself into, you know, impossible situations because that's how I read and that's how I feel, just putting myself into those people's shoes. And I'm sitting in a house that was built in the time that this war was going on.
Like the
and
same
my
year.
grandfather was in the war. That I still have like coupon books of like the rationings and things like that. So it's like I'm, you know, kind of just putting myself in even just where I am, where that was in that time period, and thinking, you know, about all the atrocities going on, you know, and it's just, it's crazy. It's good.
Yep. Pika, your thought. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Just like her grandparents built this house like directly after everything was going on.
Ooh.
You know, like this house was built by them like in 43. You know, it's like directly after everything. And it's like we still have coins from Germany from that time period. Like
coins with swastikas on them.
So it's like those stories, even this far down, like we're talking 80 years later.
Yeah.
And like she still has a direct tie to this thing, you know.
In a way, I mean, not in.
But you grew up with your grandmother. You know, you had your grandmother for almost 30 years of your life to like hear what was going on, the stories. You had your grandfather, like you heard these stories growing up, and like it's still firsthand and secondhand and third-hand knowledge, even this far down, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's just knowing again just how much, like I said, the fact that you hear some people say like, oh, they dealt with it bad, but to see just how bad Vladik really did, this is almost a point where you almost think this was fictional, but it wasn't.
Right, but I also think he could have done so much worse to try to survive. Like I think that he tried to do like what he could within confines.
He never threw anyone under the bus. He never
crossed a line of like destroying someone else's life. To me, at least, you know.
I mean, the worst he ever did was, as you know, he never really did much worse when you really look at it. Most of the stuff was other people's actions, like the guy who found him and that led to his in-laws getting killed. And he did what he could, but if he couldn't do anything more, what else could he do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you could make the argument he might not have done enough, but at the same time, you're like, what else could he have done without risking his own life?
Exactly, or somebody else's.
Yep. So, Pika, your thoughts?
Well, this was mostly me going through the story for the first time, so I was really being the noob here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but and yeah, it was one of those stories that, as like I said earlier when we were going through it, as an autobiography or something about that went through real experiences. It was kind of, you could see that it was told in a not in a basic story structure like with 3 acts or such,
No.
but it was like a story that was told as in the time and how it led from where it started and where it led to with Vladak. And
Yeah.
it's and otherwise it was it was simple enough when using like animal models or models for different groups of people. I understand that it's not as very detailed, but something that you could do in a style and not have it drag when it's being made.
Mm-hmm.
I probably gonna need to read this again.
Yep. There's a lot I skipped through, but trust me, it's well worth reading.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that I want to point out, I think that he did choose the animal models, like you were just saying. I think he chose that because choosing, like actually having people in the panels would have probably been way too hard for him.
Yeah.
To like get through
The
and actually
simplicity
tell
of
the
it.
story.
Yeah, especially when you got to the horrors. Even that you can still tell, like the images we saw of them in the pit and everything. It's like even doing that with mice alone was horrible. But then, imagine if you draw it as humans.
Yeah, seriously.
Yep. And Tevya, your thoughts?
Well, since this is the first time we did a sad, depressing story, and it actually happened. It actually happened in reality. It's been history. Our history is very, very messed up. It's a very dark subject, and it makes sense. And I'm glad he told his story. And the publisher, this book needs to be published. It should not be banned. It should not be outlawed.
Settle down. Settle down.
I get past that other stuff.
No, I know. Hey, I did a rant about this years ago when they first talked about it. You can see why. Look how much I enjoyed this book. I mean, I enjoy it for the art of the book itself, not the artwork. I mean, the whole general artisticness of this book.
Yeah, that
yes, the artistic value. Yes, we understand what you're saying.
I just want to clarify that. It's like, and that's why I enjoy so much about it. Like I said, ever since I read it in middle school, and I would check out the book regularly. So of course, when the complete version came out, got it as soon as I could.
Yep, of course.
And why do you think I got the other books? I got I have the trilogy technically.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too. Like that you have a book of like interviews from like telling more of the behind the scenes stuff too. I think that's pretty crazy.
One book, and you know what? It boiled down to 3 questions: why the Holocaust, why mice, and why comics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. Good question.
Yeah. But so again, overall, there's a reason why I wanted to cover it, but I wanted it to be special. This was not worth just being just a regular PTN. This was one that I had to do for one of the streams, just to get multiple people's opinions on this. And again, this is such a heavy-handed book, but for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I don't know what else anything else I could say than what has been shown. It's just when you look at it, and now to be fair, I do feel bad for Art that he can never get out of the shadow of this work.
Yeah, that's true. I feel bad for him as well. Because honestly, this is his masterpiece. But I understand you want to do more stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Never a traditional comic, though. He never cared for traditional comics.
Yeah, that I agree. Especially with the artwork in this book, I can see why he wanted to use this type of comic.
Now, the only other book that was big that he did was the 9/11 tribute book.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, see, I was just gonna say, like, when you write a story like this and the way that he did it, you're really gonna be put into that niche. You're gonna have people trying to get you to write or do stories very similar to it, because the way he did it wasn't like super offensive or super destructive. Like, he told the story in a
matter of fact.
Right. It was just giving exactly what happened without all of the like super grimy details of what was going on.
No.
But also without like overshadowing what was going on.
And what I like best was we never cut away to anything other than what little knowledge Vladik knew. If like anything he could remember about what happened to Anja in the camp, it was mostly when they intersected or what little rumors he heard and everything. Or things he was able to pick up.
It wasn't like filled in with a ton of fictitious things. It was filled in with actual factual things or things that were picked up by multiple sources. Like,
there might be like 1% fictional in this, and that was just art. But they still researched it. I mean, there was a point where he and his wife and their son went to Auschwitz to actually look at everything.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they actually went there for a trip. There's on the MetaMouse DVD, they show so much footage. He did so much research into it. And yet the fact that it took him years between book 1 and 2 to finish it, because he just was like, how can I draw the camps? How can I do it? And he made it work. I think he really made it work.
I think it pulled off. I think it's fantastic. The art is good. The story is great.
Yep.
Now, can I say about the father mistake? And you tell me.
Yep. Go ahead.
This father, I get comment. I understand comment, but dude, like you treat your own son kind of like, oh, it's frustrating. But I understand what you're talking about. I respect, and I knew it's very dark time. I get, but I felt conflicted about the father, but
you're supposed to.
You're supposed to, and that's
the beauty of it. You're supposed to feel like, yes, is he the hero of the story? Yes. But does that make him a good guy? No.
He's human. Well flawed.
There's a difference of the hero of the story and the protagonist of the story.
He's the protagonist.
Yeah.
Also, like, there is a difference between being a hero or protagonist, and also being like morally flawed in certain situations, right?
Yep.
Like I know fathers that think that they have to be harder on their sons because the world is going to treat them like garbage, and it's better for them to be hard on them so they're tough when they grow up.
I will say this though. I have to agree with Art when he said, I would love to see the universe where the roles were reversed and we got Anja's story.
Yeah.
After going through all this, do you guys all agree? You wanted Anja's story. Nothing against Vladik, but something about Anja's story would have been at least parallel to fill in the gaps at least. Especially, how did she survive the camps?
That's what that one answered.
Something where it intercepts, like we get that first book or like the first book and a half of Vladik and Art, and then we get where it intercepts with Anya at the end. If we did have that part of the story, it would have been good to fill in those gaps.
Interesting thing here from MetaMouse. Here's Anja and Art's whole family at the start of the war.
Aww.
Look how huge that tree is. Look how huge that family tree is.
That's
and then
crazy.
After the war.
Oh,
Jesus,
wow.
One, two, three,
amazing.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
That is a crazy representation, dude.
That is crazy.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying. Like, you think about the 1 in a million shot that it took for them to survive these things.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know. And it went from basically most of the family was just wiped out
in history.
And it's just and of course they say the grayed out ones were pre-war deaths, so those don't count. But and there's a point here where we do get at least a little bit. Oh, wait. Let me zoom in because here's an image of Vladik and Anja from 1946. So this is after the war. Hold on.
Okay.
Aww.
You can tell.
Yeah, but you can tell.
Super depressed. You can tell. Like the look on her face. Like Vladik looks like he's just keeping that smile to push on through, but she looks like she can't fake it. She can't hide it.
And then there's Vladik towards the end.
In his older age.
1972.
Yep. So not towards the end, but still, it's like that's when he started it. That's it at the start.
Hey Raymond, we're
Visual
at the
aids, too.
end here already.
Yep, we're about to wrap up. Yeah.
What's up, Ray? We're just
Yeah.
wrapping up. But I do need to get ready to have dinner. But I don't
No,
want
that's fine. We're wrapping up anyway. So, any final thoughts you guys want to give?
Yeah.
Tevye, okay, Tevye, you first.
Yeah, my final thought, it was a great book and a great story. I'm glad we covered it because this story needs to be covered, especially in today's climate. And I'm glad we were able to cover the story. Thank you a lot for having me. And
Anyone else?
Yeah.
I agree with it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Stop.
Yeah,
stop.
no, just gonna say I agree. Thank you for saving this for a live. I'm glad we got to see this.
Yeah.
Yep. Chihi?
First off, let me just say it was a pleasure to be
Your
on
first
here.
one.
And Stocksy.
All right, happy to have
Hey,
you.
it's Stocksy. Good to meet you both.
Yes,
Good to meet you both.
Yeah.
But and yeah, I just look forward to, if available, I come on again and interact and hang out with everyone in the
Yeah.
future.
Awesome.
It's all right, Ray. It's all right, Ray. You could just go to the beginning and watch it again.
Yeah, there you go. We had a good time.
Yeah, but Pika, any final words, Pika?
Well, not sure about it, say, but the whole thing about him not wanting to have it any adapted in or not done is kind of understandable.
It's very tasteful.
It's tasteful to understand it, and maybe it also there are some other work that have been inspired by this. I'm not sure. There's probably no direct connection, but maybe the way how it used the mice and cats and the animals. It was.
Mm-hmm.
You are kind of familiar with Alfred J. Wack.
Yep. And I'm sorry, Ray. I'm so sorry, Ray.
I think Alfred J. Quack, even if it was based on the creators of running over a family of dogs on the story, I think there were some inspirations that Alfred J. Quack also took from this, because it was also basically told from with animal analogs, and then there's the whole story with Dolph.
Right.
Well, yeah,
I'm not talking about that. That's not nothing related to it, but it's a strong story. That
the inspiration's being drawn from that. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, thanks everyone else for joining in. Have a great one. I already said before, my 600th is going to be Watchmen, so we're counting down to Watchmen.
Already prepared for that.
Let's go. He's ready.
I can't wait.
And
Thank you for having us, buddy.
Yep. We've got plenty coming forward. We got Blackest Night Week next week.
Yeah.
Pika and I did 5 days, 5 videos through.
Yeah. Monday to Friday next week.
Yep, I've done so much. I've gotten Godzilla, the Godzilla Marvel year. That's going to be tomorrow. We've gotten I plan to do a bunch of Peter David stuff. Rest in peace, Peter David. I should have started with that.
Rest in peace.
I'm going to be doing a lot of Peter David this year. I owe it to the man. He is one of my favorite writers. I owe it to him. But we got so many. We got plenty. I even plan before we cover Watchmen. I'm going to do before Watchmen. We'll see you guys all on the next one. Take care.
Thank you.
And may your heart be